They took my image, bent it to their purpose, so I took it back.
In a weird way, I had to sort of just free myself up to believe that it was okay to be stupid or dumb.
They took my image, bent it to their purpose, so I took it back.
Take a big step back and literally fuck your own face!
This armor doesn't belong to them. It belongs to me.
I am talking scorched earth, motherfucker!
They took my image, bent it to their purpose, so I took it back.
I will massacre you! I will fuck you up!
This armor doesn't belong to them. It belongs to me.
You went full retard, man. Never go full retard.
How you doing?
When the Halo finale ended, I felt a sensation of bliss and relaxation, thinking about how I was done watching this awful, awful show. Well, that lasted for about 8 seconds, and then my brain decided to be a dick, and flashed through everything that had happened in these last 2 seasons, as well as all of the meta conversations surrounding it. I entered what you would call nerd or gamer rage, and I did my first ever rant or rage video. That was fun to make, but now it's time to break down this episode in its entirety. Not that this show deserves your time or mine, but because Bungie Halo deserves some representation, and modern Halo YouTubers are a fucking menace to the IP. I initially wanted to do a Season 2 recap video after this one, but I want to take a break from talking about this. I'm moving on to other projects I had planned before this shit show started. And instead, I'll be doing a section at the end with some closing thoughts about the whole dang thing. Alright, so let's get into the episode. The opening scene is Jimmy Rings talking to what everybody and their mom assumed was the Monitor. His voice fucking sucks. The Monitor's voice actors always had filters to make their voices sound more robotic.
Greetings. I am 2401 Penitent Tangent. I am the Monitor of Installation 05. You are the child of my makers, inheritor of all they left behind. You are Forerunner. But this ring is mine.
Which really helps with immersion, but I legit felt like Jimmy was at a job interview with some 22-year-old Nepo baby CEO that had no testosterone in his body. So yeah, off to a great start. We then get the most cartoonishly rushed sequence of scenes to set up the release of the Flood at the base on Onyx. Miranda is wondering why the organism is moving. I think she expected it to be dead and references how it's millions of years old. It's so cool how you magically know that, since you've only just begun studying this thing, but fine. The biologist that's studying this thing with her talks about how the organism could be woken up from things like light, temperature, or the presence of a food source. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. I also want to stress her position here as an experienced biologist. Before we get back to the Flood talk, biologist woman keeps trying to talk about Halsey to Miranda, and Miranda is acting super awkward and off-put. This made me get really annoyed because Miranda from the game was a very headstrong and duty-focused woman. She admired her father and wanted to follow in his footsteps after his death. She was always about the next objective and didn't waste time.
Good.
Chief, get inside. Gear up. We're taking this fight to the surface. Sergeant, I need you on that bird.
Ma'am?
My Pelicans are going to start airlifting armor and reinforcements into the city. They'll need an escort that isn't afraid of a little hostile ground fire. Extract the chief and return to an amberclad.
Roger that.
Sir, the Prophet is bugging out. Request permission to engage.
Negative, Commander.
Inside the city.
There's no time, sir.
Green light.
Punch it. Get us close.
Without a destination solution.
We are not losing that ship. Report!
Both engine cores have spun to zero. We're drifting. Archer pods are cold. I'll need to rekey the system.
Do it and find out where we are. I want all the information you've got on the first Halo. Schematic, topography, whatever. I don't care if I have the clearance or not.
Yes, ma'am.
Where's our target?
The enemy ship has stopped above the ring, ma'am. We're going to pass right over it.
Perfect.
This shows Miranda is such a downgrade. She's tiptoeing around asking her to shut the fuck up because the conversation was making her uncomfortable. Anyways, biology bitch touches the sample with her bare hands. One would think she would be smart enough not to fucking do that. I know biology at a high school level, a few years removed, so less than your average 17-year-old probably. And there's no fucking way I would ever touch some ancient alien artifact carrying some kind of microscopic organism. Unfortunately, since every character in this Halo show is stupid as fuck, Biology Bitch touches it, and it leads to some really awesome payoffs in the near future. You see, we're setting things up and we're gonna pay them off. The show does that excellently. Miranda asks her if she touched it, and she said no, and that's the end of that very important inquiry of information. Biology Bitch casually says that they sent another wave of Spartans, and that can't be good. The fight must not be going well. I guess that's just standard information originating from Perengoski, who is the head of ONI, that spreads throughout the facility. No problem at all. The Human Covenant War is such an afterthought to every single extra in this show, and it seriously baffles me. Before the fall of Reach, the people there couldn't give two shits, even when talking to active duty UNSC personnel. And here, all the scientists are smoking and joking, like the fate of the universe isn't in the hands of an absolute lunatic. So Biology Bitch leaves the lab and has a little hand-holdy scene with her girlfriend or fuck buddy, and they really want us to notice that they touched hands. Everybody look, they're touching. I wonder where that is going. I'm still baffled this lady touched an ancient artifact containing microscopic organisms without any protective equipment, but she did, and now she's acting super floopy. No one thinks to quarantine this person when she's sweating and looks like death. After leaving the biology lab she was just in, and she randomly stabs a guy in the neck. We then cut to the intro, and I have to do my routine fuck the intro. The whole concept of that intro music and art piece will never not annoy me. The intro ends, and we cut to Kai, Perez, and a platoon of their shitty Spartan 3s on a Condor getting ready to assault the Covenant. Kai tells Perez to remember her training. Training?
Don't talk about it.
Training?
You kidding me?
Training? You guys started this shitty program like a week and a half ago. These Spartan 3 wannabes are literally worse than ODSTs. Oh, that's weird. We haven't seen a single orbital drop shock trooper in this show. They were the best soldiers they had before the Spartans, so you'd think they'd show up. But I guess 343 doesn't like them either. Anyways, how the fuck is Perez a Spartan again? How are any of these dickwad Spartans? Because the plot said so. So shut up and don't think about it. The ship then explodes and they all die. Almost immediately after, Jimmy Ring's Condor blows up and he dies. Alright, see you everybody. The show sucked, and I'll see you at the next thing I'm working on. I'm kidding, unfortunately. Kai and her platoon survive because of their incredible plot armor. Perez struggles to stabilize herself, and when she does, we cut to Kai killing it with her little jetpack. So first and second wave's ships got blown up, and they're all dead, floating in space. But when third wave's ship explodes, they're all fine and dandy, flying past all of the dead bodies and debris from the first two waves towards their objective. Plot armor. Why do they get to be alive but the others don't? I could potentially accept Kai surviving because she has energy shields and Spartan 2 armor, but the others don't have any shielding. Their armor seems just as basic as regular Marine armor. They probably should have just used ODSTs in the show. Would have made people happier than making the Spartan 3s worse than they were in the video game. Spartan 3s in the video game were pretty fucking awesome. One managed to become hyper lethal. Shout out to Noble 6. You went out like a champ. Anyways, all of these shitty Spartan 3s should be dead. Another point of contention here is, if the first two waves of shitty Spartans got killed almost instantly, why attack from the exact same trajectory? You're in space. You can attack from above, below, left, right? Diagonally? You could attack from pretty much anywhere you want to, but nah. Let's just keep putting them on the same path. To make it easy for the Covenant, we wouldn't want them to have to change the angle of their cannons. That would be super inconsiderate. So against all odds, Kai, Perez, and some other Spartan 3s landed on the outside of the Corvette. They should be dead, but the plot needed this to happen. We then see Jimmy Rings in his Pelican or Condor. Perengoski contacted him to say she's happy he's alive and to continue heading to Halo. I guess he, by himself, is expected to be a greater force than an entire Covenant vessel landing on Halo. They don't know it's empty, so there could be thousands of enemies on that thing. But then again, Jimmy Rings is clairvoyant, super lucky, knows he's never going to die, which takes away all his bravery, and the plot won't allow him to die, so he could probably take an entire ship by himself with one assault rifle. You see, in Halo 2 they actually set up a pretty good reason why Master Chief was able to take out a Covenant supercarrier by himself.
Our own.
Sir, permission to leave the station.
For what purpose, Master Chief?
To give the Covenant back their bomb.
Permission granted.
Because it gave the Covenant back their bomb. But this isn't the Bungie Halo games. This is something much, much worse. Jimmy Rings is listening to people screaming in the comms and is looking very distraught about it. Now, to remind you, he was dead set on going to Halo in the last episode, and in the episode before that, he was dead set on killing Perengowski and Ackerson. With how consistent this character is, do we think he's going to change his mind or continue going to Halo? He cuts communication with Perengowski, and we're back with Quan and Saurin. Saurin is gearing up to rescue his family. He wants Quan's help to get his wife and son back, but he's acting like she's not going to. But he's a Spartan, and she's some random teenage bitch. So why does he want her help? Oh, I'm sorry. She's Riddick now. Of course he needs her. We get a scene of them putting flood scientist bitch in the brig after stabbing that guy. And I'm assuming it was a flood spore, but something very tiny and weird and moist crawled out of her mouth, up her face. Now, she works in the biology lab, and she's acting ridiculous, and her veins are black, and she just killed somebody. I'm assuming she doesn't act like that on a normal basis. She seemed friendly, 15 minutes before all this happened. She seemed like she had a lot of friends there. You'd think because she works in the biology lab, messing with an artifact that's millions of years old holding some ancient microscopic organisms, that they would put her in some sort of quarantine, and the ones to do that would be people in airtight hazmat suits. But no, I have to remind you, every single person in this show is dumb as fuck. Humanity is very, very stupid. I still don't understand why we would even be rooting for them. They put her in the regular brig, and regular Oni personnel walked her in there. And we saw how easily this shit spreads a second ago. So this stuff is about to go like wildfire through here. The Spartan 3s are now going through hallways in the Corvette and haven't come across any Covenant resistance. That's odd. There appears to be about 10 of them, and their tactical proficiency is pretty shit. What's to be expected though? They're not augmented, and they didn't even train for 2 weeks. I'm not kidding, they're just walking in like a massive mob with guns. Like, there is no formation, there looks like there's no plan, they're just all huddled together and going for a stroll through a hallway with their guns. We then get a shot of a plasma being charged up, and a Spartan sees it, stands there for a second, looks at the rest of the Spartan 3s like, oh man, oh gosh, and then gets shot instead of moving. So she's dead. These Spartans are fucking shit. The elites insist on using mostly swords and charging our humans like retarded brute zombie monsters. I did see one plasma rifle though. That's cool. Not really. Nothing in this show is cool. An entire UNSC fleet shows up to fight back. Kai radios for medical support and evac of wounded Spartans. A frigate responds and starts heading towards the Corvette our heroes are on. Flies right under a Covenant supercarrier and gets fucking blasted with its strongest cannon. Like, I have to keep saying, all of the humans in this show are retarded. Why would you position your ship like that? I don't have to explain why this is dumb, right? Like, this should be universally understood. No? Okay, good. Because I'm going to talk about something else that's stupid. Like, why is that fleet there on Perengowski's orders? She sent the Spartan 3s on a suicide mission that is intended to basically nuke that whole solar system that they're in. The whole plan was that it takes only one Spartan 3 to make it, so it doesn't matter how many die, and the explosion is going to kill them anyways. Secondly, why is the frigate moving to support them? They were made and sent there to be expendable. This isn't me talking, by the way. This is Perengowski's stupid World War I wave plan. I wouldn't do that. Honestly, I'd probably try to join the Covenant because there doesn't seem to be any hope left for humanity. I mean, think about it. Most of the conflict in this entire show is human v human. I'm starting to think that humans are the bad guys, the Flood is the neutral party, and the Covenant might be the good guys. I mean, this is a different timeline with a totally different set of rules. We don't actually know why the Covenant want to kill humans. Maybe we did something really fucked up to them. Maybe Ackerson fucked one of the Prophet's wives. So yeah, this whole plan is very stupid. John is still flying to Halo looking very emotional, and is now drilling Perengowski about helping Kai and the Spartan 3s. They just sent an entire fleet there. What the fuck else is she supposed to do? Either do your mission or bail and go help them like you want to. It's written all over your face. You've been super inconsistent this entire season, so just change plans. Your inconsistency is actually consistent at this point. So they have a whole fleet, a Spartan 2 being Kai, and worse than standard combat Marines. Is John supposed to just show up and lay waste to all of the opposition they're facing right now? We are now calling back to John and Perez's conversation about how he's clairvoyant. That might be my least favorite conversation in this entire season, and now I have to listen to it for a second time. They're literally showing John Halo thinking very hard and doing a voiceover about whether or not he manipulated the coin to fall on heads. Super cringe. So damaging to the Halo universe. So stupid. Why are you the way that you are? Jimmy Rings flips the coin and it slow motions in the air. Now this could go a few different ways. His advanced reflexes are putting the coin flip in his time perspective, which would be faster if he had his helmet on. He's actually using his implied cosmic superpowers to change the outcome of the coin toss to be what he wants it to be, or it's actually a freeze frame, implying he's his own girl boss. He don't need no coin to tell him what to do. He's going to go help his friends? I feel like that word's a little generous. On the radio, Perengoski says something cringe, and he said, "You have no idea what I can do." And he dons his helmet for the first time since like episode 2 or 3, and he's going to go destroy the whole Covenant fleet like a Super Saiyan god, because he's super magical and special and great, just like 343 always wanted. Cortana and McKee are now talking about John. I'm not going over the dialogue here. It is the weirdest love triangle bullshit I've ever seen in my life. They have a little bitch sesh, and then McKee destroys Cortana's hockey puck. So is she dead? They already killed Key, so it would be on brand. They also killed McKee, and she's still here, so I guess if she killed Cortana, she could just come back next episode with no explanation. I just want to remind everybody, we have no idea why McKee's alive, and that will never be answered. We're back with the Spartan 3s and Kai. Perez is losing her damn mind, and Kai told her to snap out of it. And then they run out of ammo, so they're going to go grab a plasma rifle. She asked Perez if she's ever shot a plasma rifle before, to which she said no, and Kai responds, "You never forget your first time," and then they immediately pick up a carbine and 2 needlers. So Perez gets shot, lol, and Kai picks up a carbine. There was no plasma rifle. Pretty funny that we haven't seen the Elite shooting a carbine at all, I think in the entire season, but there's just conveniently one right there on the ground for Kai to pick up. I don't know why I even point this stuff out. Oh yeah, it's because people like Hidden Xperia are just eating this shit up.
Again, just continuing the really cool combat of this episode. And Perez gets injured again, so Kai, like, hero drags Perez across the floor whilst firing the carbine, whilst Perez is firing dual needlers at the Covenant. This shot was so cool.
Fuck.
So yeah, like I said, Kai is now wrecking with the carbine, then starts dragging Perez's damaged body while she's dual-wielding needlers. Perez runs out of ammo and she's still holding them up like she's trying to shoot. It was pretty weird. Kai called her an idiot for some reason, and Perez says, "I'm an idiot with 2 needlers." Why didn't they give the Spartan 3s any shields? This whole bit here is hilarious because it's shot like Kai and the Spartan 3s are screwed. Kai should be dominating because she's a Spartan 2 with energy shields and shit, but she seems just as effective as these useless Spartan 3s right now. So of course, they're screwed, right? No, Master Chief shows up and starts wrecking all of these elites in close quarters combat, no problem, because he's John Halo. He knows that when he fights, people are going to die, but it's not gonna be him. Lucky. No, I'm just kidding, we're not going back that route. I really hate that. It seems like he's playing Halo on easy, when lore accurate is heroic. I love how Kai couldn't kill any of these elites, and he showed up and fucked them all up in a few seconds by himself. I really don't understand how anyone likes this garbage. Kai and John then have a dumbass moment where Kai says, "We are the last of our kind, but Spartans never die." But they do, don't they? John says, "Not today." You know Spartans die, Kai. You know Spartans die, Kai. What the fuck are you on about? Like, seriously. I don't really know what that was supposed to be. Moving on. The useless Spartans go off screen, and John Halo goes back to his mission of going to Halo. We are now back with Saurin and Quan while they're walking through the prison, and everybody is frozen like they just got petrified by the basilisk in Harry Potter. I don't remember this being how people got infected by the flood, but then again, I don't remember this being how anything happened in Halo. And before you say, well, it's a different timeline. Yes, I fucking know. They ripped off something great, made a terrible sci-fi show, and slapped a saggy and gross Halo skin on it. It's actually pretty gross. You should recalibrate your mind before defending this show. Patient Zero in her jail cell starts getting floopy, and then tries to get out to kill Saurin's wife and child. Ackerson pulls a gun off of the catatonic jailer, and mag dumps into her. Pretty sure Ackerson only shot that thing 5 or 6 times, but he's out of ammo now. Why wouldn't it have more ammo? Okay, now we're back in space. It is said that the Covenant vessel John Halo is chasing is falling apart because of Halo's gravity. Why would any ship be falling apart because of Halo's gravity? Don't worry about it, nothing about the show makes sense. He desperately wants to get Cortana back, but they didn't build up their relationship at all. He hated her throughout the whole first season, and he hasn't been with her in the second season at all. They're building upon a payoff from the first season that was already broken and didn't make any sense. And they did no work this season to justify it, so it's just worse. He crashes into the ship to get on board. He finds the broken Cortana hockey puck, and instead of getting him to emote through his helmet, like we've all been desperately asking them to try and do, we had to have an in-helmet shot of his eyes with a sigh. These creators are the lamest showrunners I've ever seen. Let's go ahead and call back to episode 1 when the weird shaman lady is like, I've seen your future, do you have religion? Blah, 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 blah. John emotes with the helmet. I'd say that solid 5-second zone was the only time that Pablo Schreiber felt like the actual Master Chief. But then they threw that immediately out the window and we got a shower scene because we got to get Pablo Schreiber's abs popping. That's the reason people keep coming back to the show, right? I mean, listen, I'm grasping at straws. I don't know why people are watching this. It is so bad. So I wrote in my notes after checking the timestamp that I'm so happy to be this close to being done. So let's finish this episode. Cortana is fine, by the way, but I guess she's stuck in the ship. She keeps talking about how they're not going to survive, and John's like, you're not always right, and they have a little back and forth. I think they were trying to emulate the type of conversations they would have in the game, but fuck me, it didn't work here. And then John, Super John, John Halo, punches the control pad and blue shit goes up his arm and now Cortana is back in his head. I'm assuming she's back in his head because in the first season, when she was in his head, she could just project her body anywhere, like there was a projector on his forehead and she would just pop out, walk around, all that stuff. And there was no chip for her to be downloaded in to go into the back of his helmet. He punches the control pad and Cortana goes back into his body. It has to be body. The show ends with his helmet being broken, so it can't be in his helmet. It has to be in his head. She's in his head again. Okay, anyways, we're moving on. It's fucking stupid. So yeah, I guess you can just fucking do that. We're back with the zombie situation, and Saurin shows up in the nick of time to save his family. Him and Quan kill all of the zombies in the local area, and they save Ackerson too, which of course he did. He wasn't just gonna leave him there to die. So we get that scene, and then we cut back to Cheeks, I should say, who is now on the Halo ring. I'm assuming he locked his armor and fell from atmosphere and landed. Immediately took his helmet off, because of course you do. Doesn't even know if you can breathe here, but, well, I guess he knows everything because he's clairvoyant or omniscient now. It looks implied that he landed the same way he did in the video games, or like Noble 6 when they fell in from space and locked their armor. But there's no crater around him. Let's just take a quick look at Halo 3 when he arrived from space.
Luck.
This ain't good.
Damn. How far did he fall?
2 kilometers. Easy.
Stay sharp. Gorman?
His armor's locked up. Gel layer could have taken most of the impact. I don't know, Sergeant Major.
Yeah, that's a pretty good-sized crater. There was nothing on Halo. Now, we just got to Halo for the first time in 2 seasons. They spent 2 seasons building up the arrival to Halo. We got Master Chief, Cortana, landing on the Halo ring. Everything is broken, nothing makes sense, all the plot lines are fucked. Everything's different, okay? I felt so much more when I first stepped off of that escape pod as a child with original Xbox graphics, looking at the vistas of the Halo ring. You walk out of the pod, everybody's dead, Cortana sounds upset. The others, Impact, there was nothing we could do. And then you look up and you're like, man, this place is pretty cool. Man, Halo was so special. It blows my mind that it just doesn't get the respect that it should, especially from these showrunners. It's just a stupid video game where you shoot aliens. But yeah, on original Xbox graphics, I felt more awe walking around there than I do in this TV show. I feel nothing with this TV show. So yeah, Cortana can still just appear out of nowhere instead of just having her voice be in his helmet, but we can't have Master Chief in his helmet, so that's why she keeps popping up. Like seriously, this whole dynamic is lame as shit. It was so much cooler when he was just a super soldier in a suit of armor, and she was an onboard AI that had a little bit of sass and a sense of humor, and he was very stoic, and there's a lot of room for stuff there. But in this show, we have to just keep seeing Pablo's face, so Cortana can just pop in and out all over the place wherever she wants. Like, I feel like when it's something that drastic, you need to take some time to explain how that's possible. She just materializes there as a hologram and walks around. It doesn't make any sense. I was saying this during season 1. I'm like, this is so stupid. So yeah, moving on. They seem happy to be together, but they haven't earned this at all. Master Chief walked right by an assault rifle and left it there to grab a sword that just happened to be on the ground next to him. You'd think he would have both, and it is kind of funny because, like I mentioned in the very, very beginning of my video, that he says they took my image and twisted it, implying that, you know, all of our perception, like the millions of people's perception of the Master Chief was the wrong one, and this show got it right. And they've done nothing but be disrespectful to Halo throughout these 2 seasons. And they show the shot of him walking right past the most iconic Halo weapon, like he totally disregarded its existence to go grab an energy sword. Mind you, this is something he's never trained to use. He's very good with weapons, and he can figure out how to use a sword, but if he's planning on fighting the Arbiter in sword combat, the Sangheili are a race of swordsmen, essentially, and he has never had training with that thing. I mean, I understand having one as a backup because they're very strong weapons, but, like, this is a very meta shot. They show the assault rifle on the ground, and they show him walk right past it. Just another middle finger to the fans, I guess. We're now with the Arbiter and McKee, finally, who we haven't seen in a while, and the Arbiter keeps talking about redemption and how he wants to kill Halo, but I'm not really sure where he fucked up. You think that's something that they would establish. They haven't told us or shown us anything. They successfully fucked up Reach, so he should be getting an attaboy from the Prophets. We knew everything about the Arbiter in the first 2 minutes of that cutscene. He was in charge of all of the Covenant in Halo 1, and Master Chief blew that ring up. So he's in a lot of fucking trouble. Okay. I get it. I'm following. You guys are all religious zealots. You believe in this great journey thing. It makes sense that he's getting branded and tortured, essentially, and stripped of his rank. From their perspective, I don't know what this Arbiter did, so I can't buy into his fuck up. I can't buy into his redemption arc. I don't know what he did or what he wants. They haven't established it. We then cut back to Perengowski and all of the people at the Onyx operations office or whatever, and somebody says, it appears that one of the Covenant corvettes is off course. So how do you know that? Do you have a detailed layout of the enemy's attack formations and what their current objective is? Because if you did and you're holding out on that information, you aren't really pro-humans, are you now? They have that line in there so that they can realize Kai is about to do something crazy. And they have a shot where Halsey is looking at it like, oh my gosh, she's doing a noble sacrifice thingy. Like, they're looking at a hologram table that's showing all of the battleships, which, fair enough. But if a Corvette just started going one direction, how do you know that's on or off course? You wouldn't know until it was like much, much closer to hitting that thing. Oh well. So Kai flies the Covenant Corvette into a supercarrier and fucks it up pretty bad, and she's definitely dead. I'm kidding. She's not gonna be dead. I guarantee she's not dead. Now we're back with Perengowski, and the Flood is on the bridge, and people are losing their shit. Halsey looks like she's about to get infected because a dude tackles her, and then luckily some random motherfucker shoots the one off of the top of her, right before he gets tackled by one and eaten. You think he'd be having a little bit of self-preservation on his mind, instead of saving the not prisoner that they have in there. They haven't established his character, or that he respects Dr. Halsey or something. Like, literally, if we just got one scene with the two of them them together. And they have one conversation, and he seems to be a reasonable person who admires Halsey's work from an outsider who's not a scientist. I don't know, literally anything. And then when he shoots and saves her life, it makes sense. But Halsey's been nothing but an antagonist, and she's been basically in prison all of this season, minus the destruction of a planet and other things that have had to make her bounce around here and there, but she still has the status of a prisoner, so why would he shoot and save her life just to die? Doesn't make any sense. There's a scene with the zombie having some weird tendril-looking shit in the mouth of one of the humans, and I'm calling them zombies because they definitely don't feel like Flood. They look more like they were inspired from The Last of Us rather than Halo, which is super fucking lame. I said in my last video that if we had spores the size of a head running around and burying themselves in people's chest, it could have made for some really good imagery, but instead we just get a really shitty Last of Us knockoff in space. Moving on, Quan is going full girl boss on the zombies. Saurin looks like he gets in a little bit of trouble and asks for Quan's help. Bro, she is a teenager. You are a Spartan. What the fuck? And you're armed. And before you jump down my throat about this one, just think about it for 2 seconds. They established that Spartan 2s can fist fight Sangheili warriors without their armor. Like, Saurin should be strong as fuck. He shouldn't be in trouble here. But we gotta have our girl boss moment. At this point, the subtitles said Saurin grunts, which made me miss the grunts. Alright, so this scene is really weird. I kind of didn't really follow it. I don't really know what they're trying to say or do here. Like, I'm not kidding when I tell you that I struggle to understand what's going on in the plot of this show. So, Quan gets surrounded by zombies that all stop. And then she starts having a vision of the shaman bitch from the first episode, who showed up again in Quans Vision in, I think, episode 6. Or 5, I think it was 5, who starts talking to her about how she is a protector because she woke up the flood. And that woman is her ancestor, and their ancestors spawned back a really long time. I'm not really sure what's going on here. She tells Quan to leave because she can't hold them back for very long. And then Quan looked at her and said, I am all the zombies. No, I'm just kidding about that last part. So yeah, I guess we'll just move on because I don't know what that was. It was very weird. We have a scene with Halsey and Miranda, and it was super clunky. Halsey is basically crash coursing the 343 storyline of the Flood and Forerunners and Precursors and humans and all of those connections just because she saw what the parasite looks like in a microscope. I am not getting into all of that because I don't care about 343. I'm just gonna go ahead and call bullshit. I don't care how smart she is. She's reaching pretty far. We find out Halsey is infected, so she's catatonic, because that happens now for some reason. Since Quan fell behind, Saurin was about to leave his family for a moment to go find Quan. I don't know how close they are, but there's no way in hell in a zombie apocalypse I'm letting my wife and child out of my line of sight. It just seems super irresponsible. If you want to go back for her, yeah, no. I mean, Quan sucks, right? So, like, why go back for her anyways? I could maybe see it if it was like a really cool character, but Quan? Nah. They're going through the blast doors, and then Saurin's wife decides to stay behind and shut the door behind him. And he starts yelling. She shows him that she got bitten or whatever happens to spread the thing. It's on her arm now. So she closes the door and leaves. And he was big sad about it. But before she leaves, she apologized for being a cunt in the last episode when she was saying all that stuff we were talking about. Now listen, I'm really desperately grasping at something here because I haven't felt anything during this show. I felt kind of bad here. It was 100% on the actor for Saurin. He was really selling it. His wife got infected, and now she's gonna go die. Look, just let me have this one thing, okay? And for the record, I'm definitely not saying it was executed well. I'm just saying I felt something. Maybe a little bad, maybe a little sad, but it was 100% on the actor for Saurin. All right, now we get the super awesome 1v1 between Master Chief and the Not Arbiter. The whole fight had some pretty weird compositing because they're trying to put 2 CGI characters on a real setting. And so the camera work is flying around all over the place, and it just looks janky as hell. They're just too overconfident with their CGI. Their CGI definitely needed some work, or just computer generate the whole area, because you don't need to have McKee in the shots at all. Just have her go somewhere else or be somewhere else. I'm confused. I feel like they shot it on location to have a CGI battle so that the actor for McKee could stand there and keep giving shocked looks in their vague direction. The funny thing is her facial expressions were hilarious. I don't know if the director decided to not go in that day, but it keeps cutting back to her and she just looks confused. But about their fight. First, they duke it out a little bit. Master Chief shoots his pistol at the Arbiter, who has energy shields by the way, but decides to block him with his sword. Didn't know you could do that. And then they engage in a little sword fight, and the Arbiter fucks up Master Chief, throws him around a little bit, punches him a lot, grabs him by the neck and throws him again, and then Master Chief stands up and he says, "We're not done yet." And then they fight again, and through the power of plot armor and protagonist getting a second wind, he beats the shit out of the Arbiter. I guess John Halo watched Rocky a couple of times before this fight, because it's not about how hard you can hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. You get him, John Halo. And then the Arbiter asks for death, and before McKee can translate it to John, he stabs him in the chest. And there is the end of the not Arbiter. R.I.P. dude. You were a better character by far than McKee, so it sucks to see you go and see that she's still here. Then again, she got shot in the chest and had the dead eyes, and she's back, so maybe he'll come back with his mandibles all fucked up. Oh no. Is he gonna be... No, that's not gonna happen. So after the fight's done and Arbiter's dead, we're back with Miranda, who puts her mom in a cryo sleep chamber so that she doesn't turn into a zombie, and says she's gonna find a way to cure this. But look, I know the writers don't give a shit, but she's stuck in the middle of the Onyx Oni base. There are zombies everywhere. She's in a lab. She might have a water bottle. There's no food in there. I don't know what she's going to do. I don't know how she's going to get out. I don't know how she's going to find a cure for her mom. Fingers crossed we don't get a season 3, but if they did, no idea where that's going to go. They'll just do whatever they want though, clearly. We just get a shot of Kai floating in space because her body didn't get eviscerated somehow. I think the Spartan's name that this happened to in the lore was Linda, so if that is her name, then they're totally ripping off that scene where she's floating in space and they find her, because I don't believe Kai's dead. Also, could be a callback to Master Chief in Halo Infinite floating in space when the pilot dude found you. I don't know what they're going for, but that's the visual. John and McKee talk for a little bit. She says a few things and then she ends it with saying, "I'm a demon too."
That is without a doubt the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
And I haven't cringed that hard in a long time. I'm a demon too. Ugh. God damn. That is a bad line. That is stupid.
You are a fucking idiot.
What the actual fuck? So yeah, now we get to go back to the conversation between this show's Guilty Spark and Master Chef. Guilty Spark looks like shit for starters. Sounds like complete shit. I hate the voice. Hate it so much. And Master Chief's visor is now broken, so we can see his eye and part of his face. So it's absolutely useless now. The energy shields aren't going to work with this. He needs a new set of armor. God forbid he have his helmet on. We need to be able to see that eyeball. I don't want to see Pablo's face anymore, but I don't care about the show, so who really gives a shit? It ended on the subtitle Halo themed crescendos, and fuck you guys. It's finally over. Let's start off talking about closing thoughts by talking about the line, "They took my image and bent it to their purpose." That is 100% a meta line. That is 100% against the fans, because the showrunners think they know what Master Chief is or what he's supposed to be. I've understood who and what Master Chief is since I was a child, and I didn't really think this is something that needed to be explained. Halo 1, 2, and 3 pretty much nailed it, but here we are, however many years later, and some random assholes got the ability to write a story about this franchise that we all grew up with, and they're just royally fucking it up. No, we didn't bend it to our purpose, Pablo. The showrunners, we didn't do that. We didn't bend it to our purpose. It was what it was, and then you took it and you fucked it up. And you didn't like the fan feedback from the first season. Well, that's not our fucking fault. It sucked. It was one of the worst TV shows ever. Then you followed it up with another terrible season of television. You can have all the messaging and themes and all the stupid shit that you want, but your show is executed poorly. You set things up the same episode that they get paid off. And I'm using those terms lightly because it's usually pretty shit. It's very basic bitch stuff. Your script sucks. Your characters suck. Your world building makes no sense. You 100% rely on people to understand the lore of these games, because if they didn't, they'd have no idea what the fuck is going on. You want to do your own thing while simultaneously leeching off of the stuff that came before. It's disgusting. It's gross. Another thing I wanted to talk about briefly, since I kind of covered it earlier, was that they had 2 seasons of television and like $200 million, and I felt nothing when their Master Chief got to Halo. Like I said, I felt more on original Xbox graphics in Halo 1 when you land on Halo and you go exploring in the Warthog. I also felt far more throughout the entirety of Halo 2. That opening, man. Talk about world building. They did more in 2 minutes for world building than you guys did in 2 seasons of television. That's embarrassing. I hope that reaches your ears at some point in the near future. The Halo 2 original animations and the blur cutscenes, regardless of which one you look at, did more world building in 2 minutes than you did in 2 seasons of television. Next point, this one's going out to all of the Halo YouTubers that keep giving caveats. Well, this show is not the reason Halo is on life support right now as a franchise. Halo is on life support right now because of 343 and 10 years of getting very shit products and failing upwards. This TV show is just the result of those years. All of these people giving reviews for Halo games and saying things like it's not that bad has led us to a point where they're now saying that about the Halo show. They'll say things like, it's a different timeline so we can accept it. Well, to that I say, grow a fucking spine, and if you really like the thing, defend it. Wouldn't it be better to lose a few subscribers and defend something that you've loved your entire life and something that you base your channel on, than to be a part of the problem that's causing it to die? This TV show has a lot of the same messaging and themes that are pushed in the 343 Halo games. And neither 343 nor Paramount Plus understand Halo, so stop giving them caveats. You should be shitting on this show if you're a fan of Halo. The way I see it, and every normal person I talk to, the bigger the fan you are of Halo, the more you hate this show. So it doesn't really make sense to me that you could have a whole career based on this game and this franchise, and this show doesn't bother you. It actually blows my mind. Or maybe it does bother you and you're just being a major pussy about it, sitting on the fence. You don't want to make the people that like it mad, so you'll shit on one thing but praise something that definitely doesn't deserve it. It's embarrassing. Zero integrity. This is a thought about both seasons. The insistence that an alien POV character is dumb really pisses me off. The Arbiter is one of my favorite characters of all time, and he was a very risky decision. When Halo 2 launched and they were making that game and all of the crunch and everything going on, they had no idea that this whole splitting the game into 2 parts and showing the Covenant side of things and creating this character, the Arbiter, for us to play through was going to work. They had no idea it was going to be successful. It was a huge, huge risk. They took that risk and they basically paved a way for you to go ahead and just do it again on TV because you wanted to make a TV show about this franchise. They did the work. All you had to do was copy and paste it and take credit for your show for adapting it faithfully. Nobody would have been mad if you did that. And I'm so sick and tired of people saying things like, if you just want to play the game, go play the game again. Well, to you I say they shouldn't have adapted the fucking Lord of the Rings faithfully then either, huh? If you take something that is great and you bring it to a new medium and adapt it, but you still are using the overall structure and script and story of that good thing, then you are more than likely going to get a good thing. But if you have something that's really, really good and you throw it all out so you can try your own shit, we're seeing this over and over again. 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a very fucking shit product. A show like Arcane is special. I don't know anything about LOL, but I fucking loved Arcane, and I know a lot of people who love LOL, and they love Arcane, even though the lore didn't really make sense with the show, but they executed it well. It's very rare for that to happen. The people behind that was a passion project for them. They spent a very long time working on that and made some beautiful animations and a very, very good script. But that's super fucking rare. One of the biggest key factors about this is that they had a lot of talent as well. The people at Paramount Plus working on the Halo show have next to no talent. They have the narcissism to want to tell their own story, but they lack the skill to do so, which is why we end up with such a shit product. Another thing I'm annoyed about is writing a reason for John Halo to be separated for his armor in this show. This is just purely meta. They told the fans before the season started that they listened to fan feedback. They said the helmet's coming off, but that they listened to fan feedback. All of the promotional material showed him in his armor. Some of the posters started to show him without his helmet on, but he still had his armor on, but it was all very reach focused. Going into this season, I was under the assumption that the entire season was going to be the fall of Reach. I didn't think it was going to be good. You can go back and watch my trailer reaction. I was never optimistic about this because of how bad season 1 was. But they did the fall of Reach in an episode, and they did stupid bullshit human drama before it, and they did stupid human bullshit drama after it. The fall of Reach is like a 2 to 3 month ordeal. Like, the video game covered a lot of time. We went to a lot of locations, did a lot of missions, saved a lot of people. They spent 1 episode on this, and they had a blind man shoot a grenade launcher and blow up a wraith by just walking towards it. That doesn't make any sense. That's ridiculous. The Spartan 3s are also trash. I just want to remind everybody that Noble 6 was a Spartan 3, along with everybody but George on his team in the Halo Reach game. Noble 6 is the only other Spartan to reach the status of hyper-lethal, like Master Chief. He was very competent. They have energy shields. The Spartan 3s in this show are worse than your basic combat marine in the Halo universe, which I'm not saying that as an insult, but there's a clear power difference between the Marines and the Spartan 2s. These Spartan 3s are useless. They trained for a week and a half, and their armor has no shield, and their training consisted of playing video games in their head, running simulations. They wasted money on an action scene that had no consequences because we got to watch an action scene that had to do with assaulting a Covenant Corvette, and it wasn't real. That was money on the CGI budget wasted on something that had zero consequences. Another thing I thought about while doing this video was Pablo's statements in a video I covered about his mentality towards wearing the helmet, when he said he didn't want to wear the helmet because it wasn't good for a story that he was interested in telling or being a part of telling. That's basically him just saying, I want my face all over the screen. I'm an actor. It's what I do. I'm an adult pretender. I just want my face on the screen. But the really annoying part was that he said it didn't feel too controversial to me, even though it was controversial. Well, that's just simply because you're not a fan of the franchise, Pablo. Like, it's very simple calculus. The more you love something, the more you're gonna hate the bastardization of that thing. I've never played World of Warcraft, and I haven't seen the movie. I'm just using this as an example. I don't know anything about that movie. I've never played WoW, but if they made a very, very shitty movie that broke the lore in WoW, if there's even lore in WoW, I wouldn't give a shit because I don't care about WoW for me. I know people like it. I would feel bad. I would have empathy for you. I know what it feels like to have your favorite franchises go up in flames. But personally, I wouldn't give a shit. Just like Pablo doesn't give a shit that this show sucks and breaks everything from Halo. It's ridiculous. It seems very stupid to have this conversation. I feel like we should be past this as a society. The AI strip club scene, fucking hilarious. Very stupid. And the Flood being the thing I'm rooting for at the end of the show. I'm either Team Flood or Team Covenant. I'm like, activate the Halo ring, try again, join the Covenant, see what's going on, join the Flood. They seem like they were having a good time together. So yeah, this is one of the worst TV shows ever made. This is probably the worst adaptation ever made. Nothing's coming to mind right now. I hate everything about this show. I hate this show, and I hate everything surrounding it. I hope it gets canceled. I hope they get a reboot. Halo is set up for cinema. They just need to make it a fucking high-budget movie. Cover Combat Evolved. So yeah, I'm done talking about this show for a little bit, at least from a plot perspective. I'm sure it'll come up here and there in some videos I do, or in some videos I'm going to get up to in the near future. But I had 2 projects I was working on before this show started, and I have a list of projects I want to do. So those are absolutely the next things I'm doing. I would like to have a break from talking about this show. So yeah, thank you for coming by and watching, and I'll catch you guys and gals at the next one.